Indigenous peoples thrived across North America for millennia, developing diverse cultures that shaped the continent's rich history. European exploration began with Christopher Columbus in 1492, marking the start of a new era of contact between Europe and the Americas. Spanish, French, and English colonization followed, each leaving a distinct mark on the land and its people. The English established Jamestown in 1607, the first permanent settlement in North America, followed by Plymouth in 1620. By 1700s, 13 British colonies had grown along the eastern seaboard, thriving on agriculture, trade, and the harsh realities of slavery. This growth set the stage for rising tensions with Britain, particularly over issues of taxation and governance that would ignite the path to revolution. As grievances mounted, the call for independence began to resonate throughout the colonies, uniting people from diverse backgrounds. In 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, a bold proclamation that declared the colony's intention to break free from British rule. Resentment of British policies such as the Stamp Act and Tea Act brewed discontent in the American colonies, ultimately leading to the Declaration of Independence in 1776, authored by Thomas Jefferson. The Revolutionary War commenced with pivotal battles, notably Lexington, Saratoga, and Yorktown, marking a fierce struggle for freedom. With the vital support of France, the American colonies gained a strategic advantage, turning the tide against British forces during the conflict. The war culminated in the decisive victory at Yorktown, forcing British General Cornwallis to surrender and paving the way for American independence. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed, formally recognizing the sovereignty of the United States and concluding the Revolutionary War. The successful outcome of the war not only secured independence but also laid the foundation for the establishment of a new nation based on democratic principles. As the United States emerged, it faced the challenge of uniting diverse colonies under a common government and identity. The Constitution was crafted in 1787, embodying the ideals of liberty and justice while balancing federal and state powers. The Articles of Confederation, a crucial first step in America's governance, ultimately proved too weak to sustain the growing nation. In response to these challenges, the 1787 Constitutional Convention convened to create a stronger framework for governance. The resulting U.S. Constitution established a federal system that included checks and balances among the three branches of government. To protect individual freedoms, the Bill of Rights was adopted in 1791, guaranteeing essential liberties to all citizens. George Washington's presidency set a precedent for future leaders and played a pivotal role in shaping the nation's new government. The emergence of political parties, particularly the Federalists and Democratic Republicans, highlighted the differing visions for America's future governance. As these parties clashed, they laid the groundwork for the political landscape that would define American democracy for generations. The political debates of this era were not merely about policy, but also about the very identity of the nation itself, challenging citizens to consider what it meant to be American. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 marked a pivotal moment as it effectively doubled the size of the United States, sparking a surge of exploration and settlement. Following the Louisiana Purchase, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark embarked on their iconic expedition to explore the newly acquired lands, paving the way for westward expansion. Driven by the belief in manifest destiny, many Americans felt it was their divine right to expand westward, often at the expense of Native American populations. The implementation of policies like the Trail of Tears forcibly removed thousands of Native Americans from their ancestral lands, causing immense suffering and loss. As the nation expanded, tensions over slavery grew increasingly contentious, culminating in significant legislative compromises such as the Missouri Compromise of 1820. The Mexican-American War from 1846 to 1848 further intensified these divisions, leading to the acquisition of vast territories and igniting debates over the extension of slavery. Ultimately, the westward expansion during this era not only reshaped the geographical landscape of the United States, but also laid the groundwork for profound socio-political conflicts that would erupt in the years to come. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 ignited a firestorm of conflict, leading to the Southern states' secession and the formation of the Confederacy. The Civil War officially began with the attack on Fort Sumter, marking the start of a brutal and unprecedented conflict in American history. As the war progressed, the Battle of Antietam emerged as one of its bloodiest encounters, symbolizing the high cost of the conflict. The pivotal Battle of Gettysburg, often considered the turning point of the war, saw Union forces fend off the Confederate invasion. Sherman's march to the sea exemplified total war as Union General William Tecumseh Sherman sought to cripple the Confederacy's capacity to fight. The Union's eventual victory culminated in the signing of the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, bringing an end to 4 years of devastating conflict. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 fundamentally altered the war's purpose, declaring freedom for enslaved individuals in Confederate states. The passage of the 13th Amendment in 1865 formally abolished slavery, solidifying the Union's commitment to equality and freedom. In the aftermath of the Civil War, the United States faced the monumental task of Reconstruction, aiming to rebuild the South and integrate freed slaves into society. However, this vital effort encountered fierce resistance, ultimately leading to the establishment of Jim Crow laws that enforced racial segregation. At the same time, the Industrial Revolution was revolutionizing the American economy, fueled by the rapid growth of railroads, steel production, and the oil industry. This period also saw a dramatic surge in urbanization and immigration as people flocked to cities in search of jobs and new opportunities. Amidst this transformation, labor movements and strikes emerged, highlighting the growing inequalities faced by workers in factories and industries. The Spanish-American War in 1898 marked a pivotal moment in U.S. history, signaling the country's emergence as a global power on the world stage. In the wake of the war, the United States expanded its influence overseas, acquiring territories and asserting itself in international affairs. This period of change set the stage for future conflicts and discussions about American identity as the nation grappled with its newfound role in the world. In the early 1900s, reformers rose to confront societal corruption and monopolistic power, igniting a wave of progressive change across the United States. Among their achievements, the introduction of antitrust laws aimed to dismantle monopolies and promote fair competition in the marketplace. Women empowered by the progressive movement fought tirelessly for their right to vote, culminating in the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920. As tensions rose in Europe, the United States ultimately entered World War I in 1917, significantly influencing the outcome of the conflict in favor of the Allies. With the war's conclusion in 1918, discussions emerged regarding a new world order, leading to the proposal of the League of Nations. However, the U.S. Senate ultimately rejected the League of Nations, marking a shift towards a policy of isolationism in American foreign affairs. The 1929 stock market crash marked a turning point in American history, leading to widespread economic turmoil and hardship. As unemployment soared to unprecedented levels, families struggled to make ends meet, and the nation grappled with despair. In response to the crisis, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected president, promising a New Deal for the American people. The New Deal introduced a series of bold programs aimed at providing relief, creating jobs, and stimulating economic recovery. One of the landmark achievements of the New Deal was the establishment of Social Security, which provided a safety net for the elderly and unemployed. Despite these efforts, the economic recovery remained slow, and many Americans continued to suffer from poverty and instability. The New Deal's ambitious programs expanded the role of the federal government, reshaping the relationship between citizens and their government. Eventually, the onset of World War II galvanized the economy, leading to increased production and job creation that finally helped to alleviate the Great Depression. The war effort not only provided jobs but also united the nation in a common cause, fostering a sense of hope and resilience. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, marked a pivotal moment that thrust the United States into the tumultuous arena of World War II. As the U.S. rallied its forces, it became a key player in the Allied victories across both Europe and the Pacific theaters of war. The culmination of the war came with the controversial atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, which ultimately forced Japan's surrender. In the aftermath of World War II, the United States emerged not only victorious but also as a dominant superpower on the global stage. This newfound status ignited significant economic prosperity, characterized by the rapid growth of industries and the expansion of the middle class. The post-war era also saw a remarkable suburban boom as families sought spacious homes away from crowded cities, leading to the rise of suburbia. Simultaneously, the baby boom began, resulting in a dramatic increase in birth rates as returning soldiers started families and embraced domestic life. Amidst this domestic prosperity, a tense Cold War emerged between the United States and the Soviet Union, shaping global politics for decades to come. The civil rights movement, driven by the tireless efforts of figures like Martin Luther King Jr., sought to dismantle systemic segregation and promote equality in American society. Landmark events such as the March on Washington in 1963 and the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1964 marked significant victories in the fight for racial equality. As the 1960s progressed, the Vietnam War emerged as a profound source of division within the United States, leading to widespread protests across the country. The Watergate scandal in 1974 culminated in President Richard Nixon's resignation, which significantly eroded public trust in government institutions. In the wake of these tumultuous events, the civil rights movement continued to evolve, addressing new challenges and advocating for broader social justice. The intersection of civil rights and anti-war activism created a coalition of voices advocating for peace and equality, uniting diverse groups in the struggle for justice. As the nation grappled with social upheaval, movements advocating for women's rights and LGBTQ+ rights began to gain momentum, further broadening the scope of the struggle for equality. As Ronald Reagan took office, his policies aimed at deregulation and military strength began to shift the balance of power during the waning days of the Cold War. By 1991, these strategies had significantly contributed to the collapse of the Soviet Union, marking a pivotal moment in global history. The 1990s ushered in an era of economic growth in the United States, largely fueled by advancements in technology and the forces of globalization. Under President Bill Clinton, the nation experienced prosperity as new businesses emerged and international trade flourished. However, the optimism of the decade was shattered by the September 11th attacks in 2001, which resulted in nearly 3,000 lives lost and forever changed U.S. foreign policy. In the aftermath, the U.S. shifted its focus towards combating terrorism, leading to military interventions in Afghanistan and beyond. This new approach marked the beginning of a protracted conflict known as the War on Terror, fundamentally reshaping international relations. As the world grappled with the implications of these events, the interconnectedness born from globalization faced significant challenges. The early 21st century marked a tumultuous period for the United States, beginning with the launch of military operations in Afghanistan and Iraq, leading to years of conflict. In 2008, the financial crisis struck, sending shockwaves through the global economy and sparking a series of government bailouts aimed at recovery. Barack Obama's presidency introduced the Affordable Care Act, aimed at expanding healthcare access to millions of Americans. In contrast, Donald Trump's presidency from 2017 to 2021 was characterized by a focus on trade wars and strict immigration policies. The COVID-19 pandemic, which swept through the nation from 2020 to 2022, claimed over 1 million American lives and brought healthcare disparities into sharp focus. As the nation approached 2025, political polarization intensified, while issues like climate change and advancements in artificial intelligence took center stage in national discussions. As citizens grappled with these challenges, the call for unity and innovative solutions became more urgent than ever. In this landscape of uncertainty, young activists emerged as powerful voices advocating for change and demanding action on pressing issues.